What's up, y'all? This is your favorite language arts teacher coming at you with some weekend learning. So today we need to talk about how to do an annotated bibliography because that is one of the major things that you need to do for your senior project. A lot of times people look over this step, but it is a significant part of the points, and if you don't do it, then you don't get points. So let's talk about what an annotated bibliography means. What I'm looking for here is a bibliography, which is where you list your sites. Bibliography means the same thing as a works cited, you know, that fun thing that I give you zeros on if you don't do. Yeah, you're doing one of those. But as opposed to the traditional model of it, you're going to take a certain kind of notes along with it. That's what annotation means, is that we are taking notes and notation on the content that was seen in the website that you used and how you're going to use it in your graphic novel. So what we're going to do today is I am going to walk you through step by step on how to create your annotated bibliography. I'm going to do an example for you so that you can kind of follow along and then apply it to your own research and your own understanding. So hold on tight. Let's do an annotated bibliography. So just to review, an annotated bibliography is a list of your citations where you show your books and articles and documents that you've looked at for this research. And each citation is followed by a brief paragraph that describes and evaluates what you've been doing. The reason we do this is so that we can show the reader that we have credible sources as we're doing our research, and also for you to kind of help organize yourself in what you're going to be doing and how you're going to be using the information you found. Your annotations themselves are going to follow a really easy format. So there's 4 things that you need to have. The first thing is the NMLA citation. The second, starting in your paragraph, is an establishing of the credibility of the source. So you're going to tell where did you get the information from and why it is a trustworthy source. The next thing you're going to do is summarize the information that you've gathered. For example, anything that is pertinent to your graphic novel is going to get summarized very, very briefly. And then the next thing you're going to do is explain how your information is going to help you in your graphic novel, stating exactly how you're going to use the content that you just summarized in your story and where that's going to go, what that's going to look like. So let's look at an example really quickly of going through the process of creating that graphic novel annotated bibliography. So let's say I wanted to do my graphic novel about Queen Elizabeth I and her ascent to the throne and frame it as becoming a high school president, like framing Queen Elizabeth as a high schooler who's going through the process of winning a candidacy for class president. The first thing I'm going to want to do is go and look up some information about Queen Elizabeth I because that's, you know, the baseline for any good allegory. So as I start my research, the first thing I'm going to do is type up my topic into Google, obviously. We're going to look at some of our results, and obviously we're going to skip over the Wikipedia, and I'm going to choose the BBC site because it's looking a little bit more legitimate than the other ones. We know that BBC is a legitimate source. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to bring me to our website. I'm going to check out the top right there, kind of noting how it looks legitimate, like it's a real site, it's got pictures, it's got information, and as I'm perusing the website, obviously you're going to be looking a little bit more intensely than what I'm doing right here. I'm going to decide that this is the site that I want to use. So my next move is going to be, of course, a works cited. I'm going to go straight over to easybib.com. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to highlight the URL for the website. I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to EasyBib and I'm going to paste the URL into the little blue bar that's right there and hit go. That's going to redirect me to a page where they verify that the website I want is the website they want. And then we're going to get to this page where it shows us what they could find. So look, they've already found a handful of the information, but they still need a couple more pieces of information for me to fill in. So now it becomes my responsibility to fill in the blanks. So I'm going to redirect to the next page, and we see there's a couple of things in orange here that they are missing, the contributors and when it was electronically published. In order to find that information, we need to go back to the original source. The first place we can look is up here at the top. We know that there's no byline here, which tells us that they have not listed a contributor. So there's a couple other places we can look for this information. And the next place is by going all the way to the bottom of the article. And at the bottom of the article is where we will find some of our publication information as well. But so we're here at the bottom, we're looking around, there does not appear to be an author. So we keep going down to the bottom. And if you look at that tiny spot at the bottom, that little teeny tiny writing, we see it says copyright 2017. And that copyright date is going to tell us when it was electronically published, so we can fill that in to the electronic publication date. Oftentimes, there will also be an author name down here, but if there's not, then you can just leave it blank. So now we fill in 2017 to our thing and hit Create Citation. And bam, there is our citation. We highlight it, we copy it, and then we go into our annotated bibliography, and then we copy and paste it right there. Now that we have our citation, we can move on to the next parts of creating our annotated bibliography. So let's go back to the template that I made you guys for how to fill out your annotated bibliography. Now we have our MLA citation, so we can fill that into our portion of the template. The next thing we need to do is determine why we should trust this source. And there's a series of questions you can ask yourself in determining whether or not a source is trustworthy. These include questions like, where is the information coming from? Why was it published? We're going to want to lean toward academic pursuits more than just like people's blogs on stuff. Who published it? And does the information line up with other things you've read? So it should not be something that's out of left park. And also you want to note whether or not they've cited outside sources. So let's look, for example, at the one that I created about this BBC website. It says the BBC is a major news source that is widely known for the credibility of the resources. The source itself was written for academic purposes, so check what it's written for. And the information provided is congruent with other historical accounts of Queen Elizabeth I. Based on my other research, it's the same, therefore we can trust this source. My next task will be to talk about what is relevant from that source to my project. So I'm going to go through the website and pick out details that I plan on using that have helped me to understand what's going on in this historical event. So in this one, I pulled out that Mary I left the country in a political and religious unrest. People were killing each other left and right. Elizabeth began restoring peace, etc., just so that I can outline those actual facts for myself. So then later I can move into using the actual information and lining out how I'm going to frame that within my annotated bibliography, and which point I will say, you know, here's where this event will be turned into this part of my story. You guys can kind of read that on your own. And finally, we're going to take everything that we've written and put it into a nice, clean, crisp paragraph and have our annotated bibliography entry. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we write an annotated bibliography.